Welcome back to Triple L Sports Talk. I'm Josh. That's Bryce. That's Roy over there. Week 4 in the NFL, Week 5 in college football over with. MLB playoffs have started tonight for us tomorrow, or as you guys watch this tomorrow, it'll be the day 2 of it. We could already have a series over by the time this comes out. But we're going to jump right into NFL first. Week 4, we're going to go over our picks from last week. And I have a little bit of a question because Roy and Bryce, I want both your guys' opinions. Bryce on the episode, Roy, chose the Raiders to beat the Browns. Okay. And then the Raiders had all those players go out. And me and Bryce were playing video games, and he begged me to change the Raiders and the Browns. Okay.
Josh told me no.
And I actually did it on the sheet as he kept bitching it. But I did keep telling him, no, I'm not changing it. And he goes, but you said if there was injuries, we could change it. And it was before the game. This was like the day before the game, not
Oh, I didn't know we could change it with the injuries. I would have changed the Miami game.
So, but he said, please let me change it. So I did change it. Well, then the Raiders lost, and I said, or the Browns lost. And I said, oh, he's going to bitch his mind out if I don't change this to where the Raiders won because he had the Raiders on the sheet. So what do you think? Do you think he should have been able to change it? Because if you do, then he did change it.
So he changed it from the Raiders to the Browns?
Correct. He begged me to. He goes, please let me change it. I don't think the
Browns
Raiders
lost.
are going to. And the Browns lost.
Yeah, I'll just keep it.
What do you think, Bryce?
You told me I couldn't. I didn't know I got to change it until just now.
You kept begging. Do you think you should have changed? Do you think I should have approved it, or do you think you should be left with what you have?
If you would have approved it then, you should have left it. Yeah.
I did change it when we were talking.
Well, you should have told me that. This whole time I thought I got that win.
I think you should get the loss because you begged me to change it.
I think that's bullshit.
I'll let it go. I'll let it go so he can keep the Raiders because I know we'd hear about it for the next month. Back to our picks. Bryce wins the week at 10-6, of course, because of the one pick. I go 9-7, one game behind it. Roy losing record 7-9. Roy did not have a great noon slate.
I haven't had a good week at all since week 1.
You really don't know ball. We know that, but
obviously we're going to talk about that in a minute.
So my incorrects: Rams to beat the Bears, not happen. Packers to beat the Vikings, didn't happen. Steelers, who did the Steelers play? We all picked Steelers, so I can't tell who they lost to. Colts? Yes.
Yeah.
Jets, Broncos, I know that one. Cardinals, Commanders, Browns, Raiders, but we'll get into it. That'll take us into our scores from the week. And I had baseball. Sorry, I was looking at baseball scores. Thursday night football. New Orleans goes to an Atlanta, losing a close one, 26-24. Noon slate. Chicago beats the Rams without their 2 receivers. They squeak by. And they actually almost got out yardage by 100 yards. Minnesota goes into Green Bay and wins one where they almost blew it. Joe Flacco comes in for Indy and looks like prime Joe Flacco. Beat Pittsburgh Steelers undefeated 27-24. Denver beats New York in a slugfest 10-9. It was pouring rain. Tampa Bay throttles Philly 33-16. Cincinnati gets first win of the season 34-24 over the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. Houston wins an ugly one at home against Jacksonville 24-20. Commanders go down to Arizona and fucking whoop the Cardinals 42-14. San Francisco beats New England at home 30-13. Vegas beats Cleveland 20-16 without their best offensive and defensive player. Chiefs get banged up but survive in SoFi against the Chargers 17-10. Baltimore takes care of undefeated Buffalo pretty easily 35-10. Buffalo beats Miami in an ugly one 31-12. And Detroit wins the shootout last night, Monday Night Football against Seattle 42-29. Roy, game of the week for you. What do you got?
Well, mine is the Ravens-Bills. You said it was a blowout or it wasn't close. It was a closer game than what it made it look. What the score shows up. Josh Allen still. I mean, he with the line not protect him at all. He's still making throws. Receivers got to make catches. But the Ravens' defense looks a lot better than they had in the first couple of weeks, and their offense. They finally realized, hey, if you run Derrick Henry enough, you will move the ball, and that's what they finally started doing. And that's why they put 35. But it got closer. If there wasn't for that pick there in the second half, it's a 7-point ball game. Pretty close. So, but it was a good game. I thought it was both teams hit hard. Both teams look like two of the top two teams in the AFC.
Bryce?
Yeah, the Bills just didn't seem like they could get going all game. Josh Allen was still playing good, but we're really starting to see where he lacks in stars now, like where he doesn't have that big star receiver to come up like he did with Stephon Diggs against good defenses like this. One of the biggest takeaways you take is they did start to come back and they started to move the ball a little bit. And as soon as they started to get their offense clicking again, I mean, they ran one of the most horrendous trick plays I've ever seen in my life and just completely killed the drive again. So that's a coaching issue, if you ask me. If you're trying to come back in a ball game, there's no fucking reason to be doing that. It didn't make sense at the time, poorly executed, and there was no reason to do it. Let the ball stay in Josh Allen's hand, your best player, to win you the game. And, yeah, like Roy said, you give the ball to Derrick Henry with as much talent as the Ravens offense has, you're going to win football games. They finally figured it out. Let's hand it off to one of the best running backs of the last 20 years or whatever and let him run the ball even though he's old. And we'll figure out the rest and win football games. It's about fucking time the Ravens started playing like that. Now they're looking like the juggernaut I thought they would be.
Well, they're finally doing the read option. They got freaking Lamar and Henry, and Lamar was pulling it. So they're doing what they should have done from the beginning.
What literally everybody thought they would run in the offseason and then didn't run for the first 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much nailed it. I think for Baltimore, offensively, they ran the ball. Their offensive line played much better. That was the problem the first few games. Their offensive line wasn't getting much push, so Henry wasn't getting very yardage. They got away from the run. I thought they ran it well as the offensive line, like the push. But I thought the biggest thing of the game was defensively for the Ravens. They really pressured Josh Allen. They really sent a lot of the pressure and just manned up man to man. And I think that's where, maybe the first few games, teams were like, oh, these receivers can't beat us. Let's just drop back and play zone. Well, Josh Allen's going to pick you apart, and receivers can find the dead spot. But when they manned up man-to-man in Baltimore, those receivers could not create the separation, and Allen didn't have time to get away or to wait for like a deep route to open up. They were just locked up. So I think maybe that's how you're going to have to play the Bills. Maybe you send the house a little bit and man up if you have the coverage. Baltimore did have the coverage ability. Not every team's going to be able to do that, but I think that is a good way to beat them because those receivers are decent, but none of them are, a lightning fast receiver or anything like that. So,
but too many drops. I mean, there was too many drops by the Bills receivers too. I mean, even plays that. I mean, Coleman, I know he's a rookie. He needs to start making some of those comeback catches. Yeah. They just don't. I mean, other than tight ends, they struggle receiver wise. Yeah. So,
Coleman, that was his issue at Florida State last year was drops. So it's not like it's just happening. Like that has been his issue. So I don't have anything else for this game, you guys.
Nope.
Take us to Bryce's game of the week.
I had the Dolphins and Titans. I don't have the score, but I believe it was like 24-6 or something like that. Or Dolphins scored a touchdown towards the end.
31-12.
31-12. Yeah, this game, I personally thought the Titans would win because I don't think Tyler Huntley's good enough to run that offense, which clearly showed. I don't see, though, why this offensive guru, Mike McDaniel, didn't come up with some more plays to actually help Tyler Huntley and not make him run this extremely complicated offense that they're used to running with all these fast players. I mean, they had Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and A-Chain and didn't move the ball until the fourth quarter. That's just unbelievable. You have 3 of the fastest player in the entire league, and you can't move the ball more. I don't even think they had a first down for the first 3 quarters almost. Like, it was that bad. But I also do think Tennessee's defense is pretty solid. We got to see Mason Rudolph come in as well, so there's a little bit of quarterback controversy. I mean, he threw for like 100 yards, and they literally just ran the ball down their throat the whole game. But Will Levis is still on his incredible run of having amazing pictures and memes come out of a game. So hopefully Will Levis keeps a starting spot so we can continue his run of pictures.
Yeah, I mean, this game was awful. I didn't watch a lot of it. I saw the highlights. I looked at the stuff. I did look middle of third quarter, and the Dolphins had attempted 6 passes. I mean, I don't know how that's even possible in the NFL today. It's not like they were running the ball well either. So, I get if you're running 5 yards carry.
Tennessee's got a good D line.
They do have a good D line, but the rest isn't great. I just thought I agree with Bryce. Offensively, you have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Jaden Waddle, or whatever his name is, Jalen Waddle, and and you have just got to find ways to get them the ball. I mean, Tyler Huntley's played quarterback in the National Football League before.
He's a Pro Bowler.
It's not like they picked this guy up off the street yesterday.
That guy made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he can throw the football into spots. I just don't understand how they don't just I know the offense is complicated, but you can dumb it down if you have to. No, I don't know what their idea was. So ugly game.
See, I have a different opinion. I think the problem with that Miami Dolphins offense is it's a timing issue. Their time, if you look at it, Tua is got the best timing. When he steps out of the back foot, he's throwing it to Waddle or Hill or whoever. Huntley, he's only been there for 2 weeks, so he was off on his timing, and that's what the problem is. He was throwing behind the receivers. He was throwing it too far. He just not in game reps, and that's the problem. They moved the ball at times when he had his timing down. They got the ball to Hill. Tennessee did a good job of keeping him contained. They were handing it off to him. They were throwing short passes. They were trying to do anything. They were throwing deep passes to Hill. They were trying to get him the ball. It's just Tennessee did a better job. Now, they didn't sack him a bunch of times. It wasn't like Tennessee went out and they didn't put that much pressure. I don't think Tennessee's defense is that good. I just think it was bad timing on several of the because there's a lot of punts by Miami. They couldn't run the ball at all. And then H got hurt. He was limping the entire time. And then they kept trying to do these McDonald, or was it not McDonald? Mike, whatever. McDaniel was trying to do some gimmick stuff, and it just
might as well be Ronald McDonald.
It just got too much complicated. Huntley. I think you give him a couple more weeks, that offense is going to be rolling. It's timing. His timing was off. He threw some balls. Tyreek had 2 balls that he overthrew him. If he just timing was there. Yeah, that's touchdowns.
Bomb. He threw it from the 20 to the 20 and overthrew Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
that's
it's just
a cannon.
That's just timing is what it is, and the Miami's going to be better. Tennessee still looks terrible. Will Levis looks terrible. Mason Rudolph is a backup. There's a reason why he's a backup. That team, they just got field position won in the ball game. That's what it was 9-3 at one point. I think 9-6 at one point. Just field position got him the ball, and there you go. That's what happened.
I think that'll take me to my game of the week. You guys got anything else?
No. We saw Tyreek Hill blowing up on the sideline to Mike McDaniel. But there's
frustration.
Not much really to cover that. Yeah.
I chose the Eagles and the Bucks. I don't know. I want to clarify this before I say it because I believe where are they at? That I'm the only one that chose the Eagles this week on this game.
No, I think I did.
No, where are they? Oh, but right here. No, you're the only one that didn't. You're the only one that chose the Eagles, Roy. Me and Bryce both chose Bucks. Never mind. I wasn't the only one. This game was a carbon copy of exactly what happened in the playoff game last year between these two. The Bucks offense, their first thing they want to do is throw the ball. They do. They have Godwin, Evans, Baker is comfortable with those two. And they threw it all over that Eagles secondary. And that has been the glaring weakness in this Eagles team the first 4 weeks. It's been so obvious. They cannot stop the pass. Darius Slay is a shell of what he used to be, which it happens. You get old at how it works. And they have a rookie corner on the other side. He's learning the position every week. And for the Bucks, you didn't have to run the ball to that big offense or defensive line. You just threw it all day long. And on the other side of the football, I'll tell you what, Jalen Hurts had that one really good year, took him to the Super Bowl, almost won MVP. He has been almost awful since then. Now, I'm not saying it's all his fault, but before this year, he's had one of the best offensive line almost ever been alive that I've seen. And he turns the ball over too much. He does no pocket presence. He gets strip sacked more than anyone in football because he doesn't feel any pressure coming. He throws a lot of picks. Now, they're down in games, but that defense historically has kept him in games. And the Bucs defense isn't anything to be crazy about. But turnovers for the Eagles and good offense from the Bucs. Bucs take this one. That's kind of how I thought the game would go. So,
yeah, I'll go. I was actually going to comparing to Jalen Hurts as well. I think he's played terrible this season. We don't see him making plays especially if they're down. If he's down and he has to go score points to win you a game, you might as well chalk it up as a loss because that guy is not doing anything for you late in the fourth quarter. He can't do anything with a lead against him. He just doesn't seem like the same player that he was 2 years ago whenever they went to the Super Bowl. And I agree with Josh. It probably is a part of that offensive line. I mean, there still is a lot of pieces there from last season. They just lost Jason Kelsey. The guy below him is basically a carbon copy of him, I think. I don't really see the offensive line being any worse than it was last year. But on the Bucs, on the other hand, you got to say that Baker Mayfield's a sleeper for an MVP this year. I mean, that guy's played unbelievable football all season. And even late last season, he started really getting in his groove. He is very comfortable with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. He got two great veteran wide receivers to throw the ball to, and they have a great connection. It just works. And the guy puts his head down when he needs to. He's a tough running back, or he's a tough runner. I really like watching him play. And I don't think he'll win MVP, but I think he definitely should be in the conversation.
I think the problem it's not Jalen Hurts. You guys are dogging on him, but his line sucks. He was out did not have Devontae Smith, or he hasn't had AJ Brown. I don't think all year.
First game.
And so he's struggling with receivers not getting open. So you can see Goddard or whatever has freaking got more receptions in the last 3 weeks than he had all last year because that's about the only person he can get it to. The Bucs did, but give the Bucs credit, they played great. Their offense moved the ball and got him the lead early, and that took the Eagles out of what they wanted to do was run the ball. And I mean, Saquon Barkley can only, they did a good job bottling him up. He had 84 yards, but I mean, they bottled him up pretty good. But that Eagles defense is what's letting them down. Their offensive line's letting them down. I don't think it's Jalen Hurts. I think it's everybody else. But the Bucs are playing really good right now, and their key is to run the ball and freaking Baker Mayfield's making plays, and he does. He looks really good. Right now, I'd say he is the NFC MVP right now because he is playing really well. And he's getting time to do it. So his offensive line is doing what they're supposed to do. So give them to the Bucs. I think that I'm not counting the Eagles out. They'll get it. I think they'll get it going once these receivers come back and get some. This defense has just got to get better. That's their biggest problem.
Bryce's team game of the week. Rams go into Chicago and win the game. Bryce, what do you want me to talk about?
Bears offense finally stepped up in the second half. It clicked for 2 straight drives. I mean, there might have been one play that didn't get 5+ yards. The timing's starting to get down for Caleb Williams. He has stepped up every single game. There has been noticeable improvement. That's exactly what you want out of your first overall pick. Going into the game, I was kind of nervous. I mean, the Rams are a great team. I don't care if they didn't have 2 of their best players. They just beat the 49ers late in the game against their defense, came back down. They had the same chance to do that against the Bears, and the Bears defense showed that they can stop no matter who it is. They're reliable. So Matthew Stafford had the ball, had a chance to go down the field. I mean, 2 plays, Bears get the ball back. So I'm really excited for this team. I thought it would be 2-2 at this time, but I thought it would be the Colts win and not the Rams. So I still think we're on schedule for what most fans and people have predicted for the Bears to be this year.
Yeah, I just think offensively, the run game finally played a little bit better.
Yeah.
They finally got to, get some pressure off of Caleb Williams. And it opens up. I mean, you run the ball well, any team, the linebackers come down, middle of the field, it makes it a lot easier. I also take away the Rams defense has really not played very well this year. You look at that Lions game on opening night, especially, think about it when they went into overtime against the Lions opening night. Lions ran the ball every play down the field, scored a touchdown. I only know if they threw it once.
Yeah.
So they really do struggle against the run. I think that has to play with it a little bit on how the Bears offense maybe looked a little bit better because they started to run the ball with some authority there. And offensively for the Rams, it's hard to win these games without your number 1 and 2 receiver. I mean, you got a guy named Jordan Whittington and Demarcus Robinson being your number 1 and 2. Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback, and he can elevate receivers, but you can only do so much at that point. So Rams are banged up, but Rams or Bears get out of there with a win. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, that's how I was looking at it. The Bears defense is really good, especially at the run. and that's what the Rams wanted to do, and they couldn't do
Yeah.
it, and that's what killed them. And the Rams' defense is absolutely shit. So I just can't believe it. I mean, I'm not going to say the Bears offense, you did better running the ball. That's what you got to do. But that defense by the Rams was terrible. So you exploited what you needed to do, and kept the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands. You said, I still think there's still a lot of development on Caleb that I keep seeing that he needs to do. But as long as you can keep running the ball, and keep him not from having to run around and get sacked all the time, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, he made some of the – I mean, I've never seen a Bears quarterback make some throws out of pockets that he made him at. He looks so comfortable now. And in week 1, I was kind of nervous because he would get a little skittish in those pockets and start running around. He sits in there until the last second and still delivers a ball like it's nothing. So it's been
Jay Cutler
extremely
did that.
Noticeable. Jay Cutler did not – are you comparing –
I'm saying Jay Cutler's better than Caleb Williams right now. So
I would say Jay Cutler's best season is better than Caleb Williams today. Yes,
in his first 4 games in the NFL. Yeah.
But Caleb Williams also isn't back there smoking cigs while the play's going on. So,
hey, but I think that's even better.
Smoking Jay. What are you gonna do? They don't make them like that anymore.
I actually DM'd him to get him on the podcast. He hasn't responded yet.
He's probably smoking.
Yeah, probably is.
That'll take me into the
I'll
Cowboys
smoke a cigar with him.
Yeah, Cowboys played Thursday night. First thing I want to take away from this game, and I won't even blame the two teams as much as this. I mean, every play there was a flag. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of them were flags. Don't get me wrong. You can call a flag on almost every play in the NFL. Like, it just happens like that. They were wanting to throw some flags Thursday night. I'll tell you that.
It wasn't even like – it was every referee on the field was throwing flags. On the same play, there would be 3 flags.
Yeah, they were really, really throwing flags. Now, again, I think you can throw a flag on every play in the NFL. So I take it with a grain of salt. But the Cowboys have always gotten a lot of penalties. I thought the defense played
not coached very well.
I mean, they did it with the last coach, so I don't know what you talk about at that point. But the Cowboy takeaways that I have from this game, I thought the defense played pretty good until they got banged up. They really bent a lot, but they never broke. I don't know if they gave up a touchdown the whole game. What was the final score?
It was 20-15.
I believe they kicked 5 field goals, so I believe that they didn't give up a touchdown. I mean, we're without our number 2 corner. We're without almost all of our defensive line. Linebackers played pretty good against the Giants. The one thing I was happy they didn't let Daniel Jones scramble, which has been a big issue for the Cowboys a lot, running quarterbacks. I thought they did a good job containing him. Offensively, this is the first game I thought the offense didn't look great. They had an excellent first drive, went down and scored a touchdown. After that, they kind of stumbled a little bit. Run game wasn't very good, but the Giants do have a good D-line. I will give them that. That's the one thing they do have. But offensively, they got to get going. CeeDee Lamb's been good. I mean, he had a great game, but he had 1 long touchdown. I think the other receivers really need to get in groove and getting going. They've been kind of slow, but Dak also doesn't target them. Ferguson coming back from that injury is big. Good win on the road, but they got to start playing better because they're about to go into their gauntlet of the schedule.
I'll go if you want. I thought the Cowboys looked terrible in this game. I mean, it didn't look like they could do anything right for me. And to credit, a lot of the stuff, if they did do it right, it was called back on a penalty.
Exactly. So it's hard to do 1st and 20 every play.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a Bears fan. I get it. But 20-15 against the Giants, I kind of thought this might be a close game because the Giants would play up to them because they play against each other a lot. The Cowboys played down to the Giants, and they played terrible football the whole game. So they have to step it up going into this next week. Because I still see the Cowboys as a playoff contender, and that was not a playoff team that I just watched Thursday Night Football. The one thing that I am going to point out is I couldn't even tell you who the Giants running back is, but they had 26 rushing yards in the whole game. And that's been the Cowboys' biggest issue is rushing. So they did stop some of the run. Even though it was against the Giants, they did stop the run finally.
This was 2 shit teams, just a little bit better than the Miami Titans game. That's what
I would have rather watched the Miami Titans game.
Both games were shit, and I couldn't stand watching them. But hey, Cowboys pulled a win. You should be happy. That's all I can say.
All you gotta do is win and move on. I I think we're just going to pick our games for next week.
All right.
You guys got anything else?
The Cowboys
No,
had 11
hey,
penalties.
The only thing I got to
Accepted.
say,
Yeah.
the only last thing I want to say is you got to give credit to your boy, Golf, 18 for 18 in a game.
Yep.
Yeah,
That doesn't
threw the
happen
ball
very
18
often.
times.
Yep.
And
Rookie
completed
quarterbacks are
18
throwing
yards.
more than that right now.
All right, let's start it off.
The guy's terrible.
18 for 8.
Thursday night football.
Second best quarterback in NFC right now.
Yeah, fucking idiot.
You guys done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let's start it off. Thursday night football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to Atlanta for another. Atlanta been on primetime all year, I feel like.
Yeah.
Roy, I'll start with you. What do you got? Atlanta or Tampa Bay in Atlanta?
I'm going to go Tampa.
Bryce?
I'm also going to pick against Kirko in primetime. I know you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
But, man, Baker and the Bucs have been rolling.
Falcons defense been playing well. Primetime Kirko, I can't pick against him. Give me the Falcons. Bijan finally get a run for more than 10 yards? We'll find out. Jets go to Minnesota. Bryce, I'll let you go first on this one.
I'm going to take the Vikings in this one. I think watching that Packers game, their defense is even more legit than I thought it was. And last game, I think it kind of proved – I said this right before the season started, that the Jets, with just an old 40-year-old Rodgers, is not going to take them from the shit team they were last year to the Super Bowl contender like everybody thought. And I think last week kind of proved that. I don't think they're as good as what everybody thought they were, so I'm taking the Vikings.
Roy?
I'm going to go the Vikings, but I think the Jets are still – I mean, they're still a work in progress. He didn't play any preseason games. I think he's still got to get going.
Yeah. This one feels like a trap to me. I agree.
It's in London. That's what worries me.
I am going to choose the Vikings. I can easily see the Jets winning. Just lost last week. You know the famous Aaron Rodgers hard count, get the free play?
Yeah.
The Jets had a false start about 8 times on it last week, and it was also piss-pouring rain. So all they did was run the ball, and the Broncos stopped their run. And then missed field goal at the end where they had the game won or tied. I don't remember if they were
It was going to win it.
Okay, yeah. But this feels like a trap to me. This feels like the game that if I choose the Vikings, Darnold will have his 3-pick game that we all expected him to do early. But they are winning games they're not supposed to. I have to pick the Vikings right now. Carolina goes into Chicago. What'd you say, Roy?
As I said, being in London really worries me too.
I know.
But I think the jet lag on Rodgers an older team will hurt him more.
He'll be on a perk 30. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Carolina goes to Chicago. Carolina just isn't that good. I'll take the Bears.
Roy?
Gosh. Well, last time I picked the Bears, they lost. So I'll take the Bears.
All right. This is the first week all three of us picked the Bears, I think. It's about fucking time.
Bryce, who are you taking?
The Bears.
Okay.
There is a chance I'll be at this game. A very, very small chance. But we'll have content if I am there.
Don't you have drill?
I can get out of it. It's just if I want to spend the money for the tickets or not.
Going with Michael Pitcher.
It was his tickets, yeah.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Baltimore goes to Cincinnati. Also feels like a trap game. I'll go first on this one because they're division rivals. They know each other well. Kind of like that Bengals-Chiefs game that was super close because they play each other pretty often. Ravens are rolling right now. Give me the Ravens.
Ravens.
I agree.
Will you guys stop copying my picks? Miami goes to New England. Bryce, I'll let you go first on this one.
I'm going to take the Patriots in this game. This is probably the only time all season I will pick the Patriots to win. I just don't think that Tyler Huntley can get that offense going from what it was this week to something better next week in time.
Roy?
Hey, Pats. I think the defense of Dolphins is not very good right now.
I will also take New England, even though I really.
That'll be my fucking pick.
Cleveland goes to Washington. Washington
Commanders.
playing too good. I have to pick Washington. Yeah.
It's really hard to pick against Washington, but I think this is the game that's going to expose a little bit of how to beat them. With them having Myles Garrett on the defensive line, we'll see some pressure on Jaden Daniels, and I think we'll actually see him start to make some rookie mistakes.
So you got the Browns?
I got the Browns in this
All
one.
right.
Jaden Daniels is winning Rookie of the Year.
I'm sure.
The Colts go to Jacksonville. Bryce, I'll let you go first.
Man, I think Joe Flacco.
I do not know if Joe Flacco will start. I think he will, but I don't know if Richardson's been ruled out for more than a game. So
I've got to take Joe Flacco in this. I do want to mention about last game, though. The coaches for the Colts should be in prison right now because Anthony Richardson goes out there and hurts his back and then goes out for a few plays, comes back in, and they immediately run him.
Yep.
It's just fucking stupid.
To be fair, it was his own read, but yes.
Yeah, it was on him. I'm taking Jacksonville.
I want Jacksonville, but, man, they have looked so piss poor. If Joe Flacco plays, I trust Joe Flacco. Give me the Colts. Buffalo goes to Houston. Roy, I'll let you go first on this one.
I am going to take Buffalo.
I knew you would. Bryce, what do you got? Buffalo goes to Houston.
If you would ask me at the beginning of the season, I would have had an opposite answer. But I think the Texans have been looking a little shaky. The Bills look like they're going to win the Super Bowl, so give me the Bills.
I will be choosing the Texans, and Roy will like it when I say this. I do believe Nico Collins has entered wide receiver 1, top 12 receiver in football category. I don't even think it's close.
Damn straight.
The only
Go
problem
blue.
is about 11 of the receivers in front of him all played at Ohio State, but that's okay.
No, not even close.
You think he's 11?
I'm not saying – I don't know. I'd have to do it. But I do believe if any team he went to other than like a Tyreek Hill, a CeeDee Lamb, he is their number 1 for the most part.
I might go through that with you later.
I mean, I don't know if you looked at his stat line last few games.
He's been awesome.
I mean, 14 catches, 140 yards. Yeah. The problem is fantasy-wise, he's not catching touchdowns. He did this week, I know, but he's been just getting, those 25 points all in catches and yards.
Yeah.
Vegas goes to Denver. Bryce, I'll let you go first on this one.
I'm going to take Vegas.
Vegas?
Yeah.
I'm going to go next, actually. I'm going to take Bo Nix. Them Raiders, there's a lot of controversy going on right now. They did just beat the Browns without their 2 best players. Devontae Adams ain't happy. That's going to be not a good organization soon.
Might be a bill.
And the Broncos get a big win over the Jets on the road. Give me the Broncos.
I'm going to take the Broncos. I think they're playing decent football. So, Sean Payton's one of the best coaches in the football.
And Pat Surtain, I don't know if you guys have watched a Broncos game this year. I think he's the best corner in football. I don't even think it's close. He travels every play with a receiver. He doesn't sit on the side. He travels every play with Garrett Wilson last week. Every play, left or right. How many corners do that in today's NFL? I get it if the game's close. Then they start traveling. Jalen Johnson would travel if it meant. Jalen Johnson doesn't travel every play. Now, could he? Yes. But he travels every play because they need him to.
I just want to say, Bo Nix is not playing good football right now. I think in the third quarter last week, he had -9 passing yards at one point. So I don't know where the fuck he thought that, but Bo Nix is terrible.
No.
And Sean Payton's a bitch for leaving his team right when I really wanted to rebuild.
Whatever. One of the best coaches in football.
That's basically
he got fired.
Yeah, and then he fucking came back for the Broncos.
Arizona goes to San Fran. Not going to think about it. San Fran in this one for me.
San Fran.
Green Bay goes to the Rams. I'll go first on this one. Rams are kind of going through it right now. I'll take the Packers.
I'm going to take the Rams in this one.
You said Packers, Roy?
Packers, yep.
Giants go to Seattle. Roy, I'll let you go first.
Seattle.
Bryce?
I'm also taking Seattle.
And I will be in third. I will also take Seattle. Don't know if you guys got to watch the game last night, Monday night. Lions, Seattle. That was a good game to watch. That was fun. Sunday Night Football, Dallas goes to Pittsburgh. Roy, I'll let you go first on this one.
This has got to be one of the worst Sunday Night Football games ever.
I will tell you before you pick, because I have looked this up. Steelers are going to be without 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen. Dallas will be without Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. I believe that's it. Big wise, big people wise. But so offensive line for Pittsburgh and defensive line for Dallas, not looking like they're going to play. Roy?
I'll go Steelers.
Bryce?
I think it'll be Steelers. I don't think Dallas is going to be able to handle that defense very well.
I actually do think the Cowboys will win this game. I do think it's low scoring, but that Steelers defense is really good. Kind of like the Browns week 1. I think we can score a few points, 15, 20 range. I do think that offense for Pittsburgh will struggle, especially with that offensive line. And Justin Fields is very fast. Dallas does have fast linebackers. Can't do anything, but they're fast. So I think they can keep up with him a little bit. I do think they win this one. Monday Night Football. Yeah, because that's Sunday. Monday Night Football. New Orleans goes to Kansas City. Don't think it's close. Give me the Chiefs. It could be close, but
can't pick against the refs. Every week, something happens late in the game.
I'm gonna go Chiefs. Yeah, you can't.
I'm not even gonna refer to them as the Chiefs anymore. I'm literally just.
I meant to choose the Chiefs as my game of the week.
referees.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it on the script after this episode.
All right.
I'm gonna choose the Chiefs and the Saints to be my game of the week. I meant to do it this week so we could talk about them.
Are you wanting to talk about them now?
No, we can do it next week. I meant to do it because you said you don't ever want to talk about them, so I'm gonna make sure we talk about them next week. And then that's it for this week. We have our first week of buys. 4 buys this week: Lions, Chargers, Eagles, Titans. Not gonna lie, that sucks to have a buy in week 5. That's just.
I think it's stupid to have a buy this early. You gotta have at least week 7 or 8, 9, somewhere around there.
Week 5, 6, 7, and then I think they skip like week 8 and then 9 to it goes all the way from 5 to week 14. 14 is the last round of buys. That's also too late in my opinion.
Bears is next week, so.
No, it's the same week as ours. Week 7, 2 weeks from now. Because we both have the same buy. So that'll be our picks for the week. And I don't think we have anything else for football. You guys?
Nope. So it's on to the college.
It's on to college, Roy.
Let's go to college. Let's first report the top 12. Got a new number 1, Alabama. Texas 2. The stupid-ass Ohio State 3. Tennessee 4. Georgia 5. Oregon 6. Penn State 7. Miami 8. Mizzou 9. Those Wolverines 10. USC 11. And Mississippi, after their upset, 12. And you got anything on those top 12s that you guys like that you see?
I mean, I can't believe Michigan's back in the top 10. They are not a good team. They should not be in the top 20.
They've got wins against the 11th ranked team in the country.
At the beginning of the season.
Anybody? That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
This was like the beginning of the season, basically.
Week
They hadn't played any good teams yet.
I will stand by it. I will stand by it on my grave. Mizzou is not a top 10 football team in the country.
Neither is Michigan. The rankings are just.
I'll give you Mizzou.
They have one of the best players in the country. I'll give them that. They are not a top 10 team in the country. Just are not.
And neither is Miami. I don't think Miami's a top 10 team.
Yeah.
Having a
flashy player like that will help.
But I think Clemson's on its way back down at 15. So that is the top 10 for the week, or top 12. We're getting closer and closer to the November CFP rankings. So we'll get there. First game we'll recap: Alabama, Georgia. I'll go first with this. What a hell of a game! Alabama had this game in hand, doing well, playing great, and Georgia came out in the second half and just puts the beating on Alabama. And that sequence where 3 touchdowns, one by Alabama, one by Georgia, and one by Alabama again to take the lead, was some of the best football that I've seen in a while. It was amazing. These 2 teams right now are 2 of the best teams, along with Texas. Both play, just talent all across the board. They can run the ball. And they got some players that just make plays, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Alabama having the game in the bag. If they would have lost that one, that would have gone down in, I'm talking history. It'd have been 10 years from now, and people would have been like, Alabama, Georgia, and that's the first thing they would have said is that comeback, not the national championship game that Tua walked them off. That's the game they would have said. I'm honestly more impressed that once Alabama lost that lead. Now, was it a little bit of a fluke on the catch and play and however it worked out? Maybe, but what an answer. I mean, if you lose that lead when Georgia scores that long touchdown, the building was – you could have heard a pin drop, I guarantee it. And then, Alabama scores in one play, and then defense steps up. I think Georgia's better than how they played in that first half, and I really do think at the end of the day, they probably should have won the game if they don't play so bad in the first half. Hats off to Bama, though, man. That Kalen DeBoer, or the offense coordinator, I guess I don't know who's really in charge of it. The way they use Jalen Milroe with his legs is fantastic.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of how the Ravens, once they got Lamar Jackson, they overhauled how they played offense. They literally did it around him, and that's what good coaches do. Good coaches change their game plan to the members of the team that they have, not, I mean, unless you can recruit perfect players into your system, you know what I mean? And the way they use Milroe, I mean, he's a Heisman favorite at this point, I would say right now.
I agree.
Yeah. But hats off to Georgia to being down that much, to not giving up and just saying, you know what, not our week. I mean, they fought back all the way, and I will guarantee you these two teams will see each other again.
Yeah.
I hope so.
About some of the talent on that team. That 17-year-old for Alabama, I mean, that was one of the most impressive plays I've ever seen in my life. It literally looked like he was glitching in a video game going through those defenders down the sideline. But it was an insane shootout between this. It was a good game. It reminded me kind of the Tennessee-Alabama game 2 years ago or so.
See, those kind of games like we just talked about here, those are the things, that atmosphere, you don't get that in the NFL. You get that in college. I mean, that place, and there's another game, I can't remember which one it was, where you can see the camera just shaking because it's people are so freaking jumping and crazy. It's just that atmosphere like that is crazy to me. And you got to love that. And it was a great game. Yes, I agree. I think those two teams will see each other in the playoff, maybe in the SEC championship. You never know. So it was great to see that. The other game. So Illinois, Penn State played. Got anything to say about that, Josh?
No, Illinois, I really thought they played well. I mean, they didn't play great. Don't get me wrong. They score 7 or 10 or whatever it was.
10. I think I don't.
But defensively, they hung around. They gave themselves a chance in one of the hardest environments in football. I'll give it that. I didn't think Penn State played great. They did run the ball really well, really chewed that clock. Illinois didn't have a lot of chances. Penn State missed some field goals. They missed 2 of them. Illinois missed 1. Illinois just didn't stop the run well enough. They could have got off the field a few more times. Couple 3rd and 5s, they gave up runs for first downs. Offensively, first drive, Illinois got the ball first, 80 yards down the field, touchdown. I said, oh, they're ready. Penn State answers. And then after that, Illinois' offense did flutter a little bit. We ran the ball pretty well. They played 2 deep safeties the entire game, which let us run. So the game went by pretty quick. I just wish the one thing I wish Illinois would have done a little bit more is tried to scheme up a few more deep shots. They have a lot of contested catch wide receivers. Didn't give themselves enough chances to maybe get PIs down the field or anything, but not our greatest game. But the fact that they hung in against the number, 7 team in the country on the road in a whiteout environment, I think it bodes well for the future, like the rest of the year. So,
no, I mean, that was Illinois came to play. That was what they needed to do. That was the key. You had to beat Penn State. You got to stop the run, and when you can't do that, it's hard to beat them. They're not a passing team. They never have really been.
No.
But they make you pass the ball, and that Illinois Altmaier just has he struggles a little bit when he doesn't have much time in the pocket. But Illinois, hey, you battled. I think you stayed in the top 25 with that.
With
that loss, so still 24.
5 spots.
Yeah, so I think. You went in there, you played tough, and you just didn't. Penn State's just got a little more talent, and that's what got you. Any comments, Bryce?
Nope.
No. Tennessee had the week off, so Michigan, Minnesota. You guys want to say anything before I say?
I watched a little bit of this game. Michigan got up early, so they ran the ball pretty well from what I saw, but
yeah, this was a 3-quarter Michigan just doing whatever they wanted to on offense.
Yeah,
and some missed opportunities, drop balls. Drop balls just kill us. And penalties. Penalties kill you when you're driving down the field and you get a holding penalty. Put you, like you guys were talking about earlier, put you 1st and 20, and then and we're a running team, and you can't run the ball going 20 yards. No. We were moving the ball in the 3rd quarter. Things were looking great. Actually, in the 4th quarter, at the end of the 3rd quarter, I think right before 4th quarter, and then you move down the field and he makes a bad decision. I know it's a young quarterback, makes a bad decision, throws an interception when he had a wide open receiver, just a bad mistake, and that just the momentum, it just something. We after that, and they came down and scored. Michigan just went on what disappointed me. Sharon Moore has always been that coach that said, "Hey, we're always going to go for it. We're going to win. We're not going to back down." We put the brakes on. We didn't do anything to try to like go win that game. We usually on 3rd and 5, we kind of do some trap play to get maybe an offense or something. We didn't do anything. We just tried to run up gut and just said, "Hey, we're just going to punt it off and play our defense play good." When we're playing when you're playing with 3 starters on your defense back in out, Will Johnson didn't play, our best corner, and then that showed in the 4th quarter. It got us in trouble late. We couldn't do that punt return ran back all the way to the 10. It just bad thing. Everything just started clicking bad. Got lucky and pulled out a win. But hey, you gotta keep winning to keep playing. So now we I'm just happy Michigan got the win. All right. The only other game, our Air Force. Yeah, you have a lot to say. Air Force, Wyoming. Air Force just sucks and got blown out on the road at Wyoming. So it's sad to watch the Air Force 1-4 on the season.
I feel like I am getting ready to be sending the Air Force a tweet.
Oh my god!
Couple.
What are you gonna ask for? To be the coach or just to have us be podcast?
I'm gonna ask this if we can get a TDY out there to podcast. Maybe have a week to prepare for it there. I am thinking about doing it for my government email. I'm not gonna lie.
That would be funny.
I really do think I'm gonna reach out. So we'll see if that works.
We got to be the only podcast that follows there.
We got to be the only podcast that wants to go watch the Air Force.
Hey, this week we'll talk about here in a minute. So this week there are some games coming. Air Force plays Navy. Now Navy's 5-0, I think, or 4-1.
Navy will absolutely dog us.
Yeah, as much as I do not want that to happen, it is not going to be pretty.
No.
Some of the big games this week. Missouri. This is where they get the test at Texas A&M.
Yep.
They have to go to Texas A&M. So Texas A&M's got to come out the parade to play.
If Texas A&M's offense plays well, I think they can win. Because I don't think Missouri's defense is as good as people are saying it is. The problem is if A&M is offensively not playing well, I do think Missouri's offense can keep them in it because they do have a lot of weapons.
The other game is Tennessee versus Arkansas. Anything on that, Bryce? Do you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this game will be very close. I don't think Arkansas is not going to be able to move the ball very well.
Not good.
Yeah,
Tennessee's got like the number 1 defense right now, percentage-wise. I just don't think that Arkansas is going to be able to move the ball at all.
I agree. I think if Tennessee has problems with Arkansas, there might be some issues.
Yeah.
Then Illinois has the week off as a bye week this week. So then my team, Michigan, we travel to Washington and play the repeat of the national championship game.
I was going to say,
I'll go first on this one. This game should not be close either.
Yeah, I know.
Washington has not played well this year at all. So.
And they give up 8 yards a carry. Or I think it's 9.
But
so they
Washington, I know they don't have almost anyone that was there last year. They do have a little bit, and the organization is still there, like the foundation. Maybe that pisses them off that they're playing Michigan and they give them a little bit better of a game than they would, Michigan State. I don't know.
But, they have Will Rogers, their quarterback. He's not bad. Transfer from Mississippi State. So they got some receivers. The only thing that pissed me off about Michigan, what they do, and they've done this last few years, when we get into these kind of games where we think we can win with just our base packages, we start sitting players because they're a little nicked up. They're this guy's Will Johnson's nicked up. Our receivers, they're sitting them because they don't want anybody to get hurt. And that you got to play. It drives me nuts. But I think they should all quit. Everybody's a bunch of pussies nowadays. The only other thing I want to say about college football, and the first time since like 2003, I think, or 1, Indiana is in the top 25.
They won't be for long.
I don't know. It won't be. It's just funny to watch that team. So that's your college football rundown. It's great. We're getting better. All this conference plays, watching like upsets again, like Ole Miss. Weren't you the one that Josh was going to follow Ole Miss this year?
I watched that entire Ole Miss game at Kentucky. Offensively, Ole Miss could not do anything. They could not move the ball. They did not run the ball almost at all. And they had pressure oh my God. What's his name? What's the quarterback's name? Jackson Dart. Thank you. My mind was blank. Jackson Dart had someone in his grill every pass. All they did was throw hitch routes to Harris, their number one receiver. Outside of that, they couldn't do much. It was not well.
Kentucky's not bad. I mean, they gave Georgia a
No.
ball game, so you got. It's not like you got beat by some scrub team like Notre Dame. So, all right, so on to baseball.
Yep, on to baseball. The playoffs. So we recorded this on Tuesday. We'll go live on Wednesday. The playoffs have begun. So let's start. So over the weekend, since we talked to you last, Detroit clinched the last AL spot. The only thing that we were deciding was the NL. The Braves, the Mets, and the Diamondbacks were the last three teams we were jockeying to get in. Braves and Mets had a doubleheader. The scenario was if any of the two teams swept the doubleheader, the team that swept got in, and the Diamondbacks got in. If the game got split, both the teams that were playing, Braves and Mets, got in, Diamondbacks left out. I don't know if you guys got to watch that first game of the doubleheader. It was electric, Roy. So Braves go up 3-0. You missed the one.
Yeah.
Braves go up 3-0 in like the third inning or so. No one scores until the top of the eighth because this is in Atlanta. Mets score 6, so it's 6-3. Braves score 4 in the bottom of the eighth, go up 8-7. I don't remember if it was top of the ninth, if it was a walk or a single, but then Lindor hits a 2-run shot, top of the ninth, makes it 9-8, and they win it. Edwin Diaz blew it in the bottom of the eighth, giving up the 4 runs, and he stays out there for another inning at like 35 pitches, 40 pitches.
That's crazy.
And gets the save in the last. It was crazy. And so the Mets secure their spot, and then the Mets didn't throw anyone and played anyone the next game, and the Braves obviously had their A lineup in. Chris Sale was scratched in that start.
Back
scared
spasms.
a lot. Yeah, back spasms. Scared a lot of people. Braves do win 3-0 last game. Split. Diamondbacks left out.
I was talking. I didn't miss the first game, but Logan Boyd, who I know, he's a big Braves fan, and he listens to our podcast sometimes. There, him and his son Hudson. So hey, shout out to them. He was texting me during that game because just nervous as could be in the first game, and then I was pissed off because they pitched. I think they pitched their closer the eighth inning, right? Or the seventh.
Iglesias.
Is what he said. Yeah. So
everybody in the first game threw their A's because every time it came up to bottom of the eighth, top of the eighth, the team had the lead, so they were like, all right, let's send our A guns, get the win, and they kept blowing both teams. So and then the Braves. I really was nervous for the Braves once Chris Sale got scratched 20 minutes before the second game.
But they did a good job of moving. I watched second. They did a good job of putting the pitching staff to get the win. Yeah, they did a good job. So hey, got the Braves in.
So, Braves Mets in. So that leads us to our matchup. Let's start it off in the AL. The 6th seed Detroit Tigers, who were red hot, go into Houston for a 3-game set. Now all these
seed.
What?
It was the pumpkin seed.
Yeah, pumpkin seed, whatever that was. For anyone who doesn't know, this wild card round in the playoffs, it's just like the regular season portion. It's 3 games. Mm-hmm. It's the first one to win 2. So it can be done in a blink. Or Detroit goes to Houston, and all 3 games are at the home team site. So they'll play 1, 2, 3 if they have to in Houston. The 5 seed Kansas City Royals will go to Baltimore for a 3-game set in Baltimore. On the National League side, the 6th-seeded Mets will go into Milwaukee for 3 against the 3-seed Brewers. 5-seed Braves will go to San Diego against the 4-seed Padres. And we have a little bit of an update. Actually, before I get that, 1 and 2 seeds in the American League, Yankees, Guardians will get a bye. Dodgers, Phillies, 1 and 2 in the National League will get a bye. So that takes us into it's Tuesday night for us. A couple games have happened, Roy. I don't know if you've checked scores at all.
I know who won 2 of the 4 games today.
Okay. 2 of the 4 or 3 of the 4 are done. 1 is going on. The first game of the day, Detroit throws Tyreek Skubal, the Cy Young winner in the American League. It hasn't been announced, but it will be. They go into Houston and survive. They pitch 8 good innings, 6 from Skubal, 2 from 1 reliever, and they go into the 9th and they
bases loaded.
Blow it. And they hit Jason Hayward hits a rocket to first. Detroit wins in Houston game 1. They only need to win one more to eliminate, which was the best team in the American League in the second half, the Houston Astros. So Detroit already has one. The second game, Kansas City goes to Baltimore, and they win a dogfight in a pitching duel 1-0, thanks to Bobby Witt Jr. Against Baltimore, who threw Corbin Burns, who a lot of people thought was probably the best pitcher behind Skubal in the American League this year. So 2 upsets to start, and then the third one, the Mets, threw Luis Severino against Milwaukee. I don't remember who they started. Milwaukee started Freddie Peralta, their ace this season. And the Mets really hit up the Brewers bullpen. Mets win 8-4 in game 1. So all 3 road teams win game 1 so far.
Wow.
Game 4 is going on. This one is not going according to that plan. Padres lead the Braves 3-0. And I know the Padres threw Michael King, and they're only in the 4th. And Atlanta, I don't know who Atlanta threw.
It's going to be strong for Atlanta when Chris Sale is not going to be able to pitch in this series.
Yeah. So fun facts, yes, Chris Sale left off the wild card roster, is not able to pitch in the series. Also, interesting note, Justin Verlander left off the Astros wild card roster, will not play. That was a healthy scratch, not an injury scratch. Yeah. So, what do you guys want to talk about for baseball in this regard? You want to go over our series winners?
I mean, you got to be happy that Detroit's up already on Houston. I had it as Yankees, Houston in the ALCS. So maybe that won't happen.
Yeah, I'm actually that's on the other side. I really am more focused on who the Yankees will play next. I'm really rooting for the Royals because I do not want to see Baltimore. Even though they haven't played great, they have played well against us.
You keep saying that, but I'm not as concerned about either one of those teams. I'm more concerned about the Royals just because they play a little bit more small ball, and that usually somehow kills the Yankees.
But the Yankees, they do. I know what you're saying, and I do agree in that regard, but I just don't think that Kansas City can out-hit the Yankees in that regard. I mean, they got to come to the Bronx for 2. And Reagan's has pitched today. Lugo will go tomorrow. They go win those two. Those 2 aren't pitching game 1 without a doubt. Game 2 may be Reagan's, but that's all up in the air. I say right now we go over our who we think is going to win each series. Now, it is a little bit of an advantage. We do know some of the outcomes already. That's kind of one of the reasons I was hoping we'd record a little earlier, to not know all the outcomes.
It might come back. You still got to win both games.
I'm going to pick my games based not off how today's games went. I'll base it off because I already picked my bracket on who I think. We're just do this round. We won't do the next rounds. I'll start with the Houston and the Tigers. I did think Houston was going to win that series, so that will be my pick. Even though you win one game, hard to not say that the team was going to win one of the next 2. But I chose Houston beforehand, so I will stick with my pick is Houston to win that series.
I'll stick with it. I had Houston.
I'm also going to take Houston. I think it's going to be hard for them to win 2 more.
I do, Houston. Yeah. But I also think if they lose the next one, then I would give the edge to Houston being in that scenario, already having experience. But then let's go down. Kansas City and Baltimore. I had Baltimore winning that series.
I did too.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to say it based off of before today's game. I think Baltimore is going to win. But, man, they've been playing some bad baseball recently.
They have. They have been playing bad baseball. That is one thing I will say. Especially they lose when Corbin Burns starts. That was one thing they did have going. They would win the Corbin Burns starts.
And they gave up 1 run and lost. That offense should not be giving up 1 run and losing.
Then I'll take it up to the National League side, the Mets and the Brewers. I actually did have the Mets winning this series.
I had the Brewers. I didn't think the Mets. Yeah. I couldn't think Severino would even win game 1.
Yeah.
I think the Mets will win the series. They're just so hot coming into this. They have. I mean,
I chose the Mets after they won that first game, and they didn't have to burn Severino for that second game. They saved him. He would have pitched the second game if the Mets lost that game 1. And because of that, that's when I said, okay, I do think because the Mets were never going to go to San Diego as the 5 seed. Arizona would have got the 5 seed over the Mets. So Mets were going to Milwaukee if they won one of those games. And I did think if they didn't have to use Severino, they would have survived one. So I did have the Mets. And then the other one, San Diego and Atlanta, I do think San Diego wins that series. The Braves are just banged up, and they did kind of just claw their way in. Yeah. They weren't really playing well going in. So I did have San Diego, who surprisingly was very close to the Dodgers for winning that division.
Yeah, I mean, it's all – to me, the playoffs, especially the first round and two, it's all about who's hot, and Braves just aren't hot right now. Yeah. Unless they turn something on tonight, it's going to be tough for them to win.
Yeah. Without Chris Sale, who is a Triple Crown winner for the Cy Young. He's an NL Cy Young Award winner. I think because they still got Dylan Cease to throw.
Yep.
So
he'll throw tomorrow, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I think the Padres will win.
Do you guys want to talk about who we kind of think is going to move on after that, or do you guys just want to lay it at that? Because we might as well talk about the next round as well, because we will not have an episode before then. The next round could be over. I don't know if it will be, because games start this weekend, Friday, and then there's always a day in between, Saturday, Sunday.
That's fine. We can go ahead. We start with who'd you have? I mean, we had all three of us had Houston versus Cleveland.
And I would have had Houston beating Cleveland.
That's who I had.
Cleveland winning.
You had Cleveland winning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I had Houston. They were hot, and I just think they were better.
I actually like the matchup of Detroit beating Cleveland more than I do Houston, because they're in the same division. They see those pitchers all the time.
Yeah.
Cleveland does have a lockdown bullpen, though. That is something that is frightening, but I would have had Houston moving on as well. Let's go to the Yankees side. Mine would have been based off who the Yankees played. If the Yankees would have played Baltimore, I would have had Baltimore moving on. I do think we could beat the Royals, though. So I had Baltimore win that series, so technically I would have had Baltimore winning the series.
Go ahead.
I actually think that the Yankees will have the easiest matchup no matter who they're playing. I think the Baltimore is just playing too bad a baseball right now, and I don't think Kansas City is good enough to match up bat-wise.
I had Yankees. I think the Yankees will move on, whether they play Baltimore or the Royals. I think I had them playing Baltimore. I just, even though that last series, I think this is Garrett Cole leading off the series. I just think I think he's back to form and he's ready to go.
Yeah.
And you can't, and I just think it's different. You only had Judge, but now you got Soto and Judge. It's too much.
Yeah. And then, you go over the other side. I do have the Phillies moving on, and in my bracket, I had the Mets there. I do have the Phillies moving on, even though that does scare me being a divisional game matchup as well.
Yeah, I actually have the Phillies as my winner.
Yeah.
I think the Phillies are one of the. I mean, they kind of limped. Or they didn't play as great at the end, but they got too much talent. Really, I think I got the Phillies.
And then in my bracket, I had San Diego winning. This is my first big one. I do have San Diego moving on past the Dodgers. San Diego is the one team that's playing really well. At any time, I could see them not playing well, but they're playing really well, and they know the Dodgers division matchup again. I had the San Diego moving on.
I do not. I think the Dodgers will win this game. I think they just have way too many stars. I know Shohei hasn't really been in this position before, besides like the World Baseball Classic, but I think he's just so good, and so is Mookie and Freddie. I mean, there's just too many people.
The Dodgers are getting healthy, so I think that's what's going to help them. And I just think the Dodgers have got too much talent, and they're going to play. They're going to play well, and they're going to charge $25 a beer at their games.
They might charge more.
All right, Roy, if you had to pick a World Series winner right now, who do you think it would be?
World Series game, or I have the Yankees playing the Phillies in the World Series, and I have the Yankees win the World Series this year. I
sure hope you're right.
I have this feeling. Judge with Judge and Soto, it's always been Judge hasn't really been able to do much. Stanton's always been the one that's got fire in the playoffs, and he's starting to swing the bat better. Now you got Soto, Judge, and Stanton. I just think this team has too much talent, and I just have a feeling this is the year.
I will say the one thing about the Yankees that has changed over the last month and a half that I haven't said in a long time, and it really does pain me to say it, but I'm happy to say it. Gleyber Torres at the top of the line have been swinging a good bat the last month and a half. On base. I'm sure in the playoffs they'll go back to 0-4 every night. It's all the other people outside of Judge and Soto. I won't even include Stanton because he has been good in the playoffs, but he hasn't really been great this year. He's been swinging bat better. Everyone else outside of Judge and Soto in the lineup will decide if this team wins the World Series. I do trust the pitching, especially as it gets colder. It becomes harder to hit. Pitching always elevates just a little bit. Look at the Rangers last year. They didn't have a great bullpen at all, and they ended up winning a World Series.
Who do you have winning?
To me, it comes. I really do think San Diego has a good shot because to me, San Diego, they have a really good bullpen, especially all those deadline additions they made. And then they have Cease, they have Kinger, and then they also have Musgrove. I think they can pitch with anyone. It's just if they can hit. And, out in San Diego, it don't get too cold. So, especially if they're playing LA next. Now, you start talking about them going to Philly. That's a different story. But I do think San Diego has a real shot. And they've been playing. They don't have that break like LA. That's one thing that I do take into account. These teams that have a week off, they're not playing baseball for a week. Now they're hitting in the cages. I get it. That does affect some teams. So,
Who you got, Bryce?
Bryce?
And I've got the Phillies. I think that, they've made a run the past couple of years. This is their year. I think whoever they play this next round, they have a huge edge against. And then I think if they do end up playing the Dodgers, they have the experience just because they've been there back-to-back. And it feels like every season for the past however long. They just get hot around this time. And I like their matchup against anybody on the other side, really. Yeah. So
Phillies are the team that always play well in the playoffs, so we'll see if it continues. So
I agree. And I think the Phillies, that's why I have them in the World Series. The thing about the Yankees that just got me was all the past 2 months I've been bitching about them, and they just keep winning. And I don't know how. They keep playing. They keep winning. I still think they look like shits here and there, but they keep winning. They find ways to win, and still had one of the best records in baseball, maybe the best. So that's why I think you're just going to see they're going to find a way to win. That's the difference between this year's team and then the past.
Fun fact for you, Roy. I know you don't want to hear it. Carlos Rodon getting the ball game too.
Do what?
Carlos Rodon is getting the ball in game 2. He is behind Garrett Cole the rest of the season. From what I've heard, it's Cole, Rodon, and almost everyone believes it'll be Heel over Schmidt, and then
I could probably go out there and throw better in Rodon.
Cortez is out. Rizzo is out. Another thing that I take into account a little bit, Rizzo won't play.
And Rizzo hasn't played. He hasn't, and when he was playing, he didn't play very well. So,
do you know who they're starting at first for the most part?
I heard Cabrera.
It's Waldo, not Rice. That's kind of shocking because I thought they would use Oswaldo off the bench anywhere, but that's okay.
I'll take a.
We got to roll right into miscellaneous. My laptop will die. We are probably not going to finish this. Bryce, take us to the game of the week. I won't have any lock of the week this week.
All right. Do you need to plug it in? I've got a charger.
I don't have a charger. We're using both.
I have mine right here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I can't. Those are the only 2 ports.
All right.
We need to go.
My game of the week, it is somewhat of a hard one, so I'll give you some hints, but I'll give you 3 strikes, 10 guesses. Who, since 2000, has the most catches? The most catches since 2000 receivers.
Most catches?
Yes.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald is number 1 with 1,432.
How many we need?
10.
I think Antonio, he didn't play very long, but God damn
How about Dez Bryant?
I don't know, Roy. He caught a lot of deep bombs. Think about tight ends. Tight ends are going to be in here as well.
Rob Gronkowski then?
Rob Gronkowski, I would like.
Rob Gronkowski is not on there.
All right, there's our first.
So
Kelsey's got to be in there.
How about Mike Evans?
Mike Evans is 25. number 25.
2 strikes.
Yeah.
Kelsey,
Kelsey's number 13.
we're doing top 10.
Yeah.
All right, we're done.
Do you want to keep guessing with hints or?
No, we're good. Just go ahead.
Devontae Adams.
All right.
We have 4%.
Yeah, we can last 4% for a while.
Okay, go ahead.
Fuck it.
No.
DK Metcalf?
You said with hints.
Okay.
How about
You guys
Cooper
want to
Kupp?
keep guessing?
No, not long enough. Someone's got to play long.
2 and 3 are both tight ends.
I know they are. Is Tony Gonzalez in there?
Number 3.
Nah. Was he really?
Yeah.
Jason
Yeah.
Witten then?
Oh,
Jason
that's a
Witten
good.
is number 2.
Yeah, that's a good one.
See, I didn't even think about those guys. They're so far back. How about Hines Ward?
Or any running
I
back?
believe Hines Ward is 12. I don't think there's any running backs.
Okay.
Terrell
I
Owens?
didn't think-
1 sec.
Oh, I got
Terrell
one.
Owens is not on the list. He is 20.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss, I believe most of his came, and then he's 22. Not in the top 10.
Chad Ochocinco.
No.
88's always open.
I've never even heard of number 4.
Team.
Team is the Cardinals. That's probably why I've never heard of him. He was overshadowed by Larry Fitzgerald.
AJ Green?
No.
I don't know.
Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, I don't see him as a
gosh,
Cardinal.
forgot about him.
He's a 49er in my eyes.
Number 5, Roy should know this player. I'm sure he was a huge fan of him back whenever Roy liked the NFL.
Is he a Lion? You never
No.
said the team.
Calvin
No,
Johnson then?
Oh, yeah, Megatron could be on there.
Calvin Johnson's not on there. He got hurt and didn't play forever.
What's the team?
So you're saying the Colts probably.
Yeah, it's
Marvin Harrison.
No.
Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne.
Reggie Wayne. I was trying to think of who
I can
who
get
else
those
was-
two confused more than anybody in football.
Next one is the Texans.
Andre Johnson.
Yep.
I should have thought of that one.
believe the next one's the Panthers. I don't have his picture for some reason.
Ooh.
Steve Smith.
It can't.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
It is Steve Smith Sr. The
Really?
next one, he was on a few teams, including my favorite team, the Bears.
Brandon Marshall.
It is Brandon Marshall.
Oh, really?
Um,
He has more catches than Rob Gronkowski.
he was a stud.
I know that, but that didn't add. That doesn't
Rob
add.
Gronkowski was hurt all the time.
Yeah, but he got the ball a lot.
Yeah. The next one is, I believe he's a tight end as well, from San Diego.
Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
Yes,
Gates.
sir.
I should have hit these tight ends better.
The last one is the only current player,
DeAndre
number
Hopkins.
10, D. Hopkins, has 938. And
I was going to
Antonio
say
Brown
Julio
first off the
Jones
list.
at
I
one point.
said I knew Antonio Brown was close.
Julio Jones is 14. Keenan Allen's 15.
Damn.
Wes Welker.
Damn.
There's some names on there.
Names I forgot.
All right. That was a hard game. Yeah,
That's too long
I
of a
should've
period to
got more of
remember
those.
everybody.
I should have got more of those tight ends, but I'm sure as hell ain't. I would never in my life thought Steve Smith caught that many passes.
Yeah.
I thought he was a deep shot guy.
No, he
And a returner.
he got caught a lot of passes.
Same thing with Anquan Bolden. I didn't even know he was that good.
I have never.
I
heard
remember
of
him on the Niners, like just being there.
Yeah.
But Roy, you got a game?
No, I don't. I'm just gonna say I gotta just say, hey, go out there and play. I love this is my favorite time. Playoff baseball, college football. Gosh, the crowds get crazy.
Yeah.
We even got a
I
nice weathered candle. It's a nice cinnamon candle
Yep.
for this episode.
I won't-
I want
I won't
everybody to go ahead, Roy.
was gonna say I won't get much sleep now for about the next month.
Yeah.
So
I want
it's
everybody
baseball.
to gear up. Roy, we haven't informed you this, but me and Bryce have made the executive decision. We will be doing a Halloween episode where we will be wearing costumes.
Yes.
So that will be fun. Whatever episode is before Halloween.
No, we do have one more thing.
What's that?
So I want to thank my brain, for winning the baseball. Since you decided to skip over that,
I was going to get to it. I saw it on my
the
MLB
champion
tonight.
who came back, who was down last place all year. I know ball better than anybody,
No.
and
Roy got lucky
came
that
back
the
and won.
Tigers won every game for the last month and a half,
Hey.
and the Astros also did. So the final standings, Roy wins at 513. I finished at second after leading the entire year until the last 2 days, 508, and Bryce finished last at 505. Those are your final standings.
What was
Roy
the bet?
does have the highest. Roy does have the highest team with a win. Dodgers at 98. After that, it gets really messy because Roy had the most teams, so it
If I didn't give him Tigers,
it
I
gets
probably
messy down there. You do win if either of you had the Tigers last 2 months, you win. So Roy wins it because of that. Me and Bryce will be doing a punishment, and I will also be doing a punishment for the stuff that Bryce won throughout
So
the
you
year.
guys only have 3, I think.
So I'm going to do a pretty bad punishment here soon. Roy needs to do a punishment for. We probably just need to have a punishment episode.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I already did my punishment for.
No,
you
we
guys
have
both owed me 3.
Remember when we did the draft? It was like position and things like that.
Yeah.
Bryce won like 2 in a row, and we never did anything. I was gonna drink one of those 4 Locos, never did.
It's still on the ground. I think.
No, I think I threw it away.
Oh, okay.
But
I like the Four Loco. So
different thing.
I need to do a big punishment. Roy needs to do a medium punishment, and Bryce needs to do a regular punishment.
Yeah.
So that will be coming up. I have a feeling I know when I might do it, but that'll be for probably next week's episode to declare that announcement. So we got a big couple episodes coming up in the month of October. We're excited for.
And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're in Michigan, Illinois.
I was just about to say that we'll also be live streaming.
That was the announcement I was going to make next week, but that's okay.
We
haven't talked to Roy about it at all.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
out right now too.
We'll talk about it. Hit the like button, subscribe, comment, leave a comment. Let us know what you want to talk about. Who's going to win the World Series?
Yankees.
How Cowboys going to win the next game? Let's go Yankees. Peace out.
See ya.
Gotta find my way to you, even though you're next to